Congressman Bart Stupak says his life has become a living hell. He wants to vote for the health care bill, but he also wants stricter language barring federal funding for abortion. Could he end up flipping to a yes? And is he trying to negotiate but getting snubbed? We went to his office. Here's Congressman Stupak. Congressman, nice to see you, sir.
Good seeing you again.
Congressman, I've read today that you've trying to come up with some language, some vehicle to get the language, essentially the Stupak language, into this bill that's being voted on this weekend. And then I got across my BlackBerry that Speaker Pelosi said there will be no further changes in the bill. No further changes in the bill. That doesn't sound good for you. I'm
not asking for changes in the bill in the fixing package. I introduced a separate piece of legislation, which is an enrollment correction bill. It's a procedure in which you're saying, before the bill is signed by the president, there's a mistake and we have to fix it.
And so that would be voted on here in the House, the enrollment correction?
And it would have to be voted on in the Senate. It's a separate standing bill, so it doesn't have to be part of the reconciliation fixes, as we're calling it. It's a separate piece of legislation. Both sides would have to, both House and Senate would have to vote on it, yes.
It would seem to me that you'd have better odds if it didn't have to go over to the Senate to be voted on, because I haven't seen any movement in the United States Senate that they're interested in your language.
Yes, but as we're all talking about health care and wanting to pass health care, this is an issue that still has to be resolved. I'm offering a way to resolve it. I'm not saying they're accepting it. I'm offering a way. At least I've been trying to say, okay, look, we got this problem that is sort of preventing health care from passing. So how can we fix it? Well, here's a procedure. If you know a better way, Madam Speaker, or Mr. Waxman, Chairman Waxman, please show me something. Help move this process along. I'm trying to move the process along.
Well, I don't mean to plead your case, but there have been other efforts by you to, quote, sort of help. In fact, we've been here before, and you showed me 8 separate pieces of legislation which has language you can live with, 2 of which have already been signed by this particular president. And no one seems particularly interested in it. So now you have more language. You're coming up with a vehicle to get it passed. And I'm trying to see why you think now they would be the least bit interested when they've rejected you before.
Because we're getting closer to the vote. I really expect the impasse, if you will, if they need my vote. I mean, there's 39 other members who are going to vote against this bill, or sort of prediction there's about 39 other members, well, in the House bill that we passed, there were 39 other members who voted against it. So Bart Stupak and my group of half a dozen people or a dozen people can't bring down this bill by ourselves. Other people have to vote no. Or, so if they really need our votes, like in the House, when we voted on it last November, they'll wait till last minute and then we'll pick one of these vehicles and see if we can fix it.
I noticed yesterday that you went to see the president. You went to the White House.
I didn't go see the president. I went to a bill signing ceremony and spoke to the president very briefly, and after I shook his hand.
We have a picture of you smiling, so it had the appearance that maybe you guys were talking about the bill and things looked pretty good, but that was just...
No.
I shouldn't read anything into that picture.
No, you shouldn't read anything into it. It had to be a 15-second meeting with the president, so don't read anything into it.
Did he say, nice to see you, Congressman Stupak?
No, he said, we got to work out this issue. I said, I'd love to. And he said, well, we got to get there. And I said, yep, just change the language.
And he said?
He said, let's keep working on it.
But he offered nothing?
No, he didn't, and I wouldn't expect him to. It was a bill signing ceremony, a bill we had worked on along with most members who worked on it. It's a higher act, you know, get this economy going, help get more jobs moving in this country, some good tax breaks for small businesses. So I was proud to be there to see the bill being signed in law.
Well, since the bill signing, I won't read anything into that picture.
No.
Has anyone from the White House called you and said, you know, we really do want to work this out?
Since then? No.
Yes.
No.
Have you heard from Speaker Pelosi or anyone else in the Democratic leadership here in the House in the last 48 hours?
Oh, I've talked to Chairman Waxman a couple times last 48 hours.
Why are you talking to Congressman Hoyer or Speaker Pelosi? Because your block of 6, 12, whatever the votes are, that certainly would help them, because we're seeing the numbers are hovering around 213, 214, 215, and you know, you're a big block. Well,
I think...
I mean block of votes. I didn't mean maybe block of legislation. Either way you want to read it, I guess.
Well, the issue we're standing up for, the principle of sanctity of life, it's an issue they just soon avoid, so they're trying to work around us. And again, that's why I don't expect them to really enter into real serious negotiations like how do we fix this thing because we need your vote, until they realize they don't have the votes. So, you know, maybe the Speaker and them are confident that they can pick up 216 votes without us, and they don't need us. So.
But then it brings the problem, if there are 216 votes, the fact is that every person who voted for that bill, when he or she goes home to his district, he or she is the one, is accountable because the bill, but for that vote, wouldn't pass. So they really do, they need politically more than 216.
Sure, it would be helpful. However, I've been here where we've passed bills by one vote. The Deficit Reduction Act of 1993 is certainly very unpopular. Each member, he or she must go home and have conviction in their vote and explain it to the people, whether they voted for it or against it. So if it comes out 216 to 215, everyone who voted for the bill has to go back to their district and convince the voters that it was the right vote to make, that the legislation is based on merit and not on politics.
It's sort of interesting. I hear people talk about Congressman Bart Stupak, and I've heard comments that say, well, he's going to change his vote. Things will happen. I don't get that sense from having spoken to you that you have wavered at all. Maybe, is there any sort of wiggle room? That's not been sort of my sense of you. Maybe it has changed.
No, I keep offering them suggestions on how best to resolve this issue. They've asked for language. I give them language. I give them a different procedure because they say, well, we can't do it this way because the Byrd rule. We don't want to open up the reconciliation fix because if we open it up for you, we have to open up for everybody. So I come up, knowing the legislative process, different ways to handle this issue. But it's up to leadership to say, let's run with this one or let's try this. I'm at least trying. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more trying, a little bit more give and go on both sides, and we can get this issue resolved before Sunday night. Well,
I can attest you've tried. You've shown me the 8 different choices, and you've come up with the different vehicles, so it'll be interesting to see.
I want to see healthcare pass. It really is an issue for me. When I ran in 1992, that was one of the main issues I ran on. That's what 18 years I've been trying. So we are close. And would I like to see healthcare passed? Absolutely. Absolutely I would. But, there's a principle, sanctity of life. I'm just not going to cross that line. Let's keep current law, and we can have health care too.
Congressman, thank you, sir, and I'm sure we'll see you Sunday in someplace.
Sometime on Sunday.
Sometime on Sunday. Thank you, sir.
You betcha.
Coming up.